All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the next chapter of Sakamoto Days. Time to see what happens with Uzuki Moto and the rest of the order. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu 92 here. Welcome back to more Sakamoto Days. In the last chapter, Uzuki, under the... Hold on. I saw this issue, and I still haven't fixed it. All right, no more random depth of field manipulation going on in the background here. I don't know why it keeps resetting. But in the last chapter, we saw the Order all attacking Uzuki, and Uzuki just kept continuing to use the prowess of not only Sakamoto, but later on, we started to see that my idea of him being able to use all of the different abilities that his persona affords him in one persona can now be used consecutively and simultaneously with one another. And he's been using that against Kindaka, slamming him into an amusement park ride, breaking his goggles and pretty much impairing him, and then impairing Yotsumura and basically bashing his skull in. So now we see that not only is he using the physical prowess of Sakamoto, but he's also using the path of killing that Rion also had. And if this man keeps using the abilities of different personas and he gets his hands on a sword, then who could say if he could start using the deadly cutting power of Old Man Takamura as well. So let's see what happens in days 272, the ultimate assassin. And Nagumo can see the change in Uzuki right now because he's looking at his eyes, and while his face is very reminiscent, his facial structure is reminiscent of Sakamoto's, his eyes look exactly like Rion's. There's no doubt about it. Those are Akao's eyes. He can freely command the abilities of his personas. I said this before he even started doing it. I said, wouldn't it be incredibly terrifying if he could start using all of these abilities of his persona anytime he wanted? I said this before the chapters even revealed it. He can freely command the abilities of his personas? Move. And someone says move. I don't know. Oh, it's Osaragi. Move. And he manages to duck in time before Osaragi sends her circular saw flying and cutting across the water because they're all fighting in the middle of a water park section of the amusement park. She sends her saw flying across the water, cutting deep into it, and the blade stops. Uzuki catches the blade in his fingers and then proceeds to basically break the entire saw itself. And then Osaragi, going past all this metal, she goes to punch Uzuki, and Uzuki basically catches the punch, not moving and unfazed at all. And before Osaragi can do anything, she's immediately kicked away by Uzuki and sent flying. And Shishiba sees her flying and goes, Osaragi! And before he can say anything, Osaragi kinda uses Shishiba's tie to keep herself from flying further back. But because Shishiba is kind of like a built different type of dude, he doesn't get flung back either. He just goes like, ugh! And then he just holds her by the face like this, just like chastising her. And then Shishiba goes, hey, that's the Akao persona, isn't it? No, I think it's still Sakamoto. But the way he's moving, he can clearly read the killing path. And it shows Uzuki making his way out of the water onto dry land again. But the way he's moving, he can clearly read the killing path. What do you mean? He's using multiple personas at once. Akao's eyes and Sakamoto's killing skills. The ultimate assassin. And then Sakamoto walks over to, you know those rides where you just get pulled up to the top? Hold on. he makes his way over to one of those like sudden drop rides, where you just like free fall. He makes his way over to him and he basically just slices through it with his hand. Mind you, this is his hand. This is just his hand. He just slices it through it with his bare hand and he causes the whole thing to topple over. And it goes crashing outside of the amusement park. Death drop ride. Thank you, Kratos. He causes the entire ride to go crashing outside of the amusement park in the middle of a busy highway. In the middle of a busy highway, causing a numerous car pileup. And he's already standing on top of one of the cars as Shishiba brings his hammer down. And he grabs Shishiba's arm and prepares to use his other hand to try and kill him. And Shishiba goes, I don't care what kind of beast he is. And he spits towards Uzuki, but not before Uzuki jabs his fingers directly into Shishiba's side. Gotcha. And then we cut to a staircase in the far distance, and it's Kamihate going, don't let go till you're dead. And then Kamihate opens fire. I won't let go even then, you moron. And then all of a sudden, Uzuki's body just goes suddenly limp. And as soon as it does, his body goes limp in a way where his body, unconscious, literally falls into a path where he avoids every bullet shot by Kamihate. He literally goes limp, and him going limp causes him to dodge every shot. Hold him still, you idiot! That was insane. He went from tense to completely relaxed in an instant and set me off balance, evading the shots. Simple in theory, but what kind of freak can completely relax in a situation like this? And then all of a sudden, he wakes back up and kicks Shishiba in the side of the head. Kicks Shishiba in the side of the head into a building so hard, he literally craters the side of the wall after being launched in there. Then, Uzuki takes out a sign, yanks it out of the ground, and throws it at Kamihate, and apparently, and since we can't see Kamihate's face, hits him directly, I guess, either near the shoulder or in some place very vital, because he goes, Gah! And he's spitting out of his gun nozzles. Like, that's how he speaks. But Uzuki just took out both Shishiba and Kamihate. And then we have Nagumo, who comes up behind him, and Sakamoto, and not Sakamoto, but Uzuki is using another sign to block him. If Akao really was still alive, would she be in the order with us? No. Akao loved her freedom.
The order? And let the JAA skim all the profits? Screw that. I'm opening my own assassin business. You guys should join.
That's what she'd probably say. And then Nagumo's looking at Uzuki, who's using her eyes. Right. She loved her freedom. How dare you use her eyes? And then there's just a splash of blood because Nagumo manages to cut straight up Uzuki's face. He cuts him in the eye. But he still uses the other eye to see a path of killing go straight towards Nagumo's eye. And Nagumo can see that attack coming. And then we cut away from the amusement park, and we're back with Shin, who's laying in front of Sakamoto. Mr. Sakamoto. And he's thinking of Sakamoto, Lu, Aoi, Heisuke. We'll never get to go back to those days, will we? And then a loud voice goes, hey. And then in his thoughts, he sees someone literally break his neck. But he sees the thoughts of someone else. And then he opens his eyes wide and he looks at Sakamoto. Because Sakamoto is alive! But he's alive, but you know, he's still hurt as he goes, what's going on, Shin? Despite having his organs lacerated and everything, Sakamoto is still alive. He's conscious. He's conscious. Sakamoto is conscious. While we have Uzuki basically breaking even more members of the order. Like in this chapter, we see Shishiba get tossed straight through a building. We see Kamihate get stabbed with a street sign. And Nagumo clashing with Uzuki, being the only one to actually deal another blow to Uzuki out of everyone who's been fighting him. Nagumo is the only one who's actually, when you think about it, out of everyone in the entire series, Nagumo is the only one to really leave some significant wounds on Uzuki this whole time. Takamura, and the thing is, Takamura got close to killing Uzuki before the stress caused him to create a duplicate Takamura persona on him, and thus he killed Takamura with his own sword. But Nagumo is the only one who's been dealing all these constant blows to Uzuki, because the first time he did it, it was back at the museum when he was there to kill Asaki, and he stabbed him through the back. And then again here in the amusement park where he stabbed him through the chest. And then again where he literally tore through his carotid artery. And that pretty much caused the rise of the Uzuki Moto mode. But Nagumo still is the only one who's actually able to leave lasting wounds on Uzuki, because he's looking at Uzuki because you get first of all, this man is a monster. He takes Osaragi's circular saw, catches it, and stops its spinning. It stops its rotation with his fingertips, and then crushes the entire blade. Literally just crushes it with his fingertips and then just breaks the whole thing with just the grip strength. Osaragi goes in to hit him, he blocks it, and then kicks her away. And Osaragi stops herself by grabbing onto the tie of Shishiba. And she gets reprimanded for it. But she's still there, though. And then Sakamoto basically shattered it like it was glass. Exactly. Uzuki is absolutely terrifying. Because the crazy thing is, he's doing things that no normal assassin should be able to do. His body is perfectly and accurately replicating another far more powerful individual, and he's able to use that to his advantage. But on top of that, because of his unique mental state, he is also capable of using another persona's capabilities on top of each other. It's like having multiple passive skills in a video game. Rather than being able to choose one or the other, you can have them active all at the same time. That's what we called very OP builds in either Borderlands, Path of Exile. Name your game with different builds in them. That's what it's doing. So the strength of Uzuki is not to be underestimated. It's even more monstrous because he's using the efficiency and flawless movements of Sakamoto. But he's also using the path of killing that's enabling him to take out every single member of the Order. The only members of the Order who are still active now, after this chapter, are Nagumo and Osaragi. Because after she gets reprimanded and her face squeezed by Shishiba, we don't see her again. The next person we see fighting Uzuki is Shishiba, and Shishiba holds out pretty well, but he gets his hand literally jabbed into fingers. Like, can you imagine getting hit by someone and they jab their fingers into your side and they break skin and they go into your body, like they just jab it in there like they're a Viltrumite or something? Because you know Viltrumites love to stab with their whole hand. He just stabs into his side, and then he makes his body go limp to avoid the sniper shots of Kamihate, whose accuracy is by far one of the best of the entire series. He makes his body go limp so that when he goes limp, his body just dodges all the shots flawlessly. Wakes back up, proceeds to kick away Shishiba, and plants this man directly into a wall so hard you would think the whole building was about to come down. Then takes a street sign and takes out Kamihate, literally just throws a sign at his face. So either he threw it directly into his shoulder or threw it into his neck. But his accuracy, Uzuki's accuracy in this state is also pretty much almost flawless as well. And then Nagumo comes in and clashes with him, and thinking about how disrespectful Uzuki's being by using Rion's eyes, he's all like, how dare you use those eyes? Right. Would she, and if Akao would have joined the order, if she was really still alive, would she have joined the order? No, she wouldn't, because she loved her freedom. She loved her freedom. She loved her freedom. And seeing the eyes of Akao being basically used for evil, being used in ways that Rion would not use them, that's basically like saying like, oh, so you just got this persona of Akao trapped within you, and you should already know that Akao loved her freedom. How dare you use those eyes? And proceeds to cut one of them. Literally proceeds to cut straight up his eye, blinding him in one. But he still has one, and it shows a path of killing goes straight towards Nagumo, but we don't see the attack connect though. We see the attack moving in that direction in order to actually hit him, but we don't see it connect. And all we see is just the speed of it getting closer and closer to Nagumo's face. Then, next thing we get is just Shin thinking about like, we'll never get to go back to those days, will we? Because he thinks that Sakamoto is pretty much dead now. But the thoughts of Sakamoto wake him up real quick. And then Sakamoto wakes up and says, what's going on, Shin? And we're not going on break after this, so we get to see what happens next week on the last Saturday of August, no less. Whoo! Overall, I like this chapter because it keeps showcasing that Uzuki is a massive threat who has to die. He is not an individual that looks like he's going to just, wallow away in prison, because if he's capable of using Sakamoto's capabilities, he'd be able to break out of any place. His death has to happen. It doesn't need to be Sakamoto who does it, but if he does not die, he would literally try and start this whole thing over again. He's a person whose death will only mean the end of this conflict. Because this man's a problem. When the Order officially started fighting alongside each other, he took out the founding members first. He took out Kendaka. He took out Mr. Yotsumura. And now he's taken out Shishiba and Kamihate, leaving only Osaragi and Nagumo left behind. And the last thing we see is Nagumo about to be punched in the face by Uzuki, who's abusing Rion's capabilities. But of course, we got Sakamoto, who's up. He's up, but he's wondering what's going on. So now the question is, how is Sakamoto conscious if he's supposed to be, bleeding out and dying, because apparently his organs have been lacerated? It would be really interesting to see if and how Sakamoto can handle this if he is back in commission. Before we even get to that, Kratos, before we even find out what's happening there, we need to know how he's still able to be conscious after being sliced through his entire midsection by Uzuki a couple of chapters ago. We still need to figure out how he's conscious right now. Because everyone wrote him off as dead. Uzuki most certainly wrote him off as dead because he was thinking like, well, I tried stabbing him through the heart the last time. That didn't work. So let me cut through his entire midsection and take out multiple organs. And now Sakamoto's still alive, though. Uzuki cannot keep this man down. Every single attempt to kill Sakamoto keeps failing, and the man keeps coming back. So now we have Uzuki Moto out and about, and along with Sakamoto fully waking up. Now, whether he's in fighting shape remains to be seen, because we really don't know the medical state, we don't know the health state of Sakamoto at this time, because that's all his blood directly underneath him. He got cut across his midsection. That alone should put people down. The massive amounts of internal bleeding one could suffer just from getting cut like that is one thing. your organs getting cut like that and completely lacerated. Even Nagumo was writing them off, saying like his muscles were his organs were completely lacerated. Even if we got the medical team out here, it wouldn't do any good. Yet Sakamoto is still conscious. He's still here. He's not dead. What is this man made of for you to get sliced in your stomach and you're still alive? You haven't completely bled out. So that I have so many questions as to how he's awake right now. Because if Sakamoto gets up and he cracks his shoulder, it's over. It's over. It's over. The moment we see Sakamoto crack his shoulder, it's over. That means he about to work somebody. That means he's about to work somebody. Now, mind you, he's sweating profusely right here. So this did indeed hurt him. But we don't know how much real damage has been done to him after that cut. We don't know. What I do know is that Uzuki is a problem that needs to be remedied with death. He cannot just be left alive. He cannot just be like imprisoned permanently for all time. No, this is an individual whose death will truly mean peace in Japan, and then the assassins can get back to what they do best. You cannot keep this man alive. He's a whole problem. He's a whole issue. He's a whole concern with everything he can do. He's literally moving like he's the ultimate assassin. He has the abilities of literally the legendary assassin in the world of assassins that everyone knows of. And he also has the ability to see the exact path he needs to take to kill his opponent instantly. I'm so glad we didn't see a glimpse of him taking up the abilities of Sakamoto. Otherwise, he would have been the worst. He would have been all for one levels of a threat. Mind you, he's a threat now, but gaining all of that power, I'm scared to think of what would happen if he gains access to yet another persona ability again. I would be terrified to find out. But with Sakamoto conscious again, we can start to work a plan in order to bring down Uzuki. And that's what I'm happy about. And we're not going on break. I'm happy about it. I am definitely happy about it. But overall, good chapter. A very good chapter for Sakamoto Days. Very terrifying seeing more members of the Order fall to Uzuki, who just keeps abusing the power of Sakamoto and Rion. But I'm thankful Nagumo was able to land a solid hit. Q, you need to stop giving Uzuki ideas. I do, because I literally said before we got the chapter, like, wouldn't it be terrifying if Uzuki was capable of using all of the persona abilities at once, and that's going to be what this ultimate form of Uzuki was? I said that, and then it happened. I need to button my lip. I need to button my lip on all of Uzuki's capabilities. How about, you know what would be real nice? If the personas actually started to rebel against Uzuki, and that gives everyone an edge, because Akao, even as a persona, doesn't like to be tied down, likes her freedom. So why would that persona be listening to Uzuki on harming her friends? Because we've seen before that persona thinks for itself. So who's to say that the Akao persona may have an issue with this and might actually rise up and it causes some issues for Uzuki? The same way Star and Stripes quirk caused problems for Tomoda's body when he did what he did. But overall, good chapter. Sakamoto's up, Uzuki is continuing to be an entire issue, and Nagumo landed yet another blow against Uzuki that is probably going to help them out just a little bit. Because if he takes out the eyes, then no more path of killing intent to be used with those eyes either. Even taking one eye out is enough. So we're going to have to see. Overall, good chapter. And I'm glad we get it next week so we can see what happens from this point on. But yeah. That's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get started with Hunter x Hunter pretty soon, but I got to take the boys outside. So to everyone who showed up here today for today's Sakamoto Days reading, all I can say to you is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Even check out my membership here on YouTube or me over on Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Oh, real quick. Have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Let me read what you said. New to your channel, caught up on Hunter x Hunter alongside your read through, just wanted to drop by since I saw you were live. Ah, yes, the next chapter, the next thing I'm doing is literally the newest chapter of Hunter x Hunter. So I hope to see you there, Brazzy. So, yeah, later, peoples, on to Hunter x Hunter.